water, electricity, roads, means of transportation, a shelter, a roof over one's head. These are things ordinarily that drives a society forward and keeps the fabric of a people together, as opposed to allowing such to be turned against themselves and come to disintegrate to a large extent. These things are things ordinarily that should be there to see to it that a country ordinarily gets to move forward, move fast, move straight, stand tall, and continue its journey to progress, whatsoever progress ordinarily have come to be in the 21st century. But these basic amenities are things we at the moment lack back home. These are things we lack in Africa. These are things we lack in Nigeria. And if it comes to you as a surprise and a shock that ordinarily I'm saying these are things we lack, then I am not talking to you. You are not the group I am ordinarily getting to refer to. Probably you've been influenced so much by class struggle that you ordinarily don't come to even experience that people lack basic amenities every day. As such, probably you just have not been granted the reality to come to really check things as they are, and how ordinarily we at the moment should be responding to these things as opposed to how we currently are doing within our sphere. I am Biringkpa. I am the host of the podcast Boring Conversations, and today we're going to be looking at these problems, and we're going to be looking at how they connect from one place to the next, how they connect from one angle to a different angle, to the different angles they ordinarily get to talk about. If you happen to stumble upon this video, please like, share with someone, comment, and let's have these conversations we are having. And so if we were to start with a thing like electricity, what about it? It's true that the period upon which people and countries were investing in electricity and ordinarily the infrastructure that at the moment drive their economies and drive their means of production, we were at that particular point being colonized and being enslaved and being controlled for a whole lot of reasons. But it is not reason enough to always want to talk about this particular reason as the only reason why we don't have electricity in the 21st century, why we for a day cannot have light and just have it uninterrupted for one full day. We don't. And why we don't have this is not something that we need rocket science to ordinarily come to tell us about. These are things we at the moment can know and tell ourselves the reasons why they are so. Just that we failed to really look at the reasons for the reasons themselves. And what are the reasons? I will tell you that our leaders have been, for the longest period, a people of will not strong enough to ordinarily drive the change ordinarily that needs to come with coming to terms with matching up with war power. I know you want to tell me about soft power and the whole idea that comes with, colonialism, the IMF, the World Bank, the different banks and the different monetary institutions around the world, and the different cartels kept in place to ordinarily see to it that, things don't ordinarily come to make sense. I understand. I want to believe this. I know this for sure. I know this for a whole lot of reasons. I understand your pain, but come on, our leaders have not been forthcoming year in, year out. If you know you're not capable of ordinarily leading a people, why ask to be voted for? Why ask to take that particular position, that place of duty that ordinarily shouldn't be your space, a place that ordinarily should be left for the man who ordinarily knows what he was supposed to do, the man who ordinarily should be doing what he's supposed to do, as opposed to you who just want to bear the name that you're a leader. And so what would a real leader ordinarily do? Go fix the problem. Go look at the the sources that ordinarily can generate electricity, and look at ordinarily what should be put in place, and look at the science and the technology, and look at ways ordinarily of coming to lobby one's way to the technology and the advancements that have come to what we now call modern ways of ordinarily producing electricity. But no, our leaders, what do they really do? Who do they get to employ as their special assistants? Who do they get to employ as their ministers? Who do they get to employ as their commissioners? Who do they employ as their ambassadors? Who do they appoint into these places? Do they appoint people that ordinarily would just be caricatures, or they appoint people that ordinarily should be in and about doing their jobs? Over the years, meritocracy has been flung across the other side. People have been left with little or no choice as it concerns how things ordinarily should go, how life ordinarily should function. And people have been told, for the largest part of my life, or the largest part of your life, anything can happen. And so you find a situation whereby we sit down and we tell ourselves that it is our lot. It is our lot. It is our lot where we are at the moment. It is our lot. And you see pastors wanting to, the other day I heard of a story where certain pastor was being attributed with the grace of repairing lanterns and torches and different stuff. And I begin to ask myself, for God's sake, how will God just stoop so low to just want to fix lanterns and fix lights and fix electric kettles and fix this and do these particular stuffs? And it just shows how we measure in the minor, and we minor in the major. How we just put our whole interest in things that ordinarily don't make sense. And so these are a sense of religiosity have tied us to a different place where we, for the longest period, don't really come to really look at life and look at how things ordinarily are. And so we continue to crumble, and we continue to crumble, and we continue to go down, and we continue to fall and fall and fall and fall until we die. What about water? It's enough that we have water in abundance, but for how long can we ordinarily say, with the current development in the world, that we are always going to have water the way we have water? Countries have been trying to gather water and reserve water, and water is going to be a problem in the future, so we've been told. The WHO have done statistics as it concerns the lack of drinkable water, pipeline water in the future. A thing that many countries, even at the moment, with we not even having such levels of scarcity at the moment, can't even have. When you on a tap in Nigeria, does water come rushing out? And when it comes rushing out, does it come rushing out hot or cold? Even though you ordinarily don't have a heater in that room. What is the system? How does the system work? What are the things that ordinarily are supposed to be done that are not done? What are the things that should be looked at that aren't looked at the moment? And what are the ways you ordinarily should look at things and come to look at life and come to look at the way things ordinarily should go? These are many more of the concerns I'm talking about, and we can continue like this. We head towards the angle of road, we talk towards the angle of basic amenities, policies that ordinarily see to it that things function and people live well and people live happily. We can talk about education, we can talk about the healthcare system, we can talk about how up until now we don't have good roads, we don't have good town planning that ordinarily can see to it that things can be connected and people can connect from different places, so that if you have an accident in Kubwa, you can easily connect to Wuse from there without ordinarily killing yourself by just following a one-way traffic. That's the road that leads from the main town down Niger State, or you just get stuck there for the longest I can say. Or if you want to go to Nasarawa from still same Kubwa, the places and the road networks that ordinarily can lead you there, from trams to metros. These things are not things that are beyond us. Trains necessarily must not run only across states. Trains can function within a particular jurisdiction, also connecting people to different places and through different stops, and they must not be politically mitigated, and they must not be looked at from that particular lens where, but I'm giving you this, I'm giving you that, I'm giving you that, and so now you have to vote for me. No, the people need basic amenities, and the fact that you don't have these things, the fact that you have to go to metros and you have to go to train stations, and you ordinarily get so fascinated by them as though you're in cloud nine, when probably you find yourself in countries that have such amenities, also to a large extent speak to ordinarily how these things have come down within your own system, to ordinarily come to tell you how ordinarily you have wished and longed for these particular things you at the moment are coming to treat in the ways you are treating because you've not had them. Drilling holes through different rocks and through different technologies to ordinarily get the metro to function is not a thing that is to be isolated from the African. It's not a thing that African governments cannot do. It's just the fact that we haven't gotten people enough to ordinarily look at these issues and confront them squarely. Is it the land? Is it the material resources? Is it the human resources we're looking at here? Is it the manpower? Is it the financial resources? For the longest period, Africa is not poor. So why can't Africa do that? It starts and goes back to the same place I talked about. The consciousness of our leaders, the consciousness of our political class, the consciousness of men and women who ordinarily are supposed to do things, men who fail to do these things because they just feel for the longest period of time they can just look at the other side, they can just look at life from the other perspective, they can just look at things from the other way, and it's in and about that, fine. But that's not the case. That is not the truth and the crux of the matter. The truth of the matter is that men and women ordinarily should come to recognize their role and their place in society and come to demand for equality and come to demand for a just system, a system that ordinarily supports them, a system that supports their craft, a system that supports them living and living well, and not just living, but living well, living as humans in the 21st century, not begging for ordinarily what should have been theirs right from birth. And if you are a Nigerian, if you are an African, if you are a human at the moment, and with the current situation of things and your current reality at the moment, things cannot ordinarily work and things don't function well for you, know that you're a victim. If you cannot comfortably travel from Lagos to Abuja without breaking the bank, without booking air tickets that ordinarily cost your life or cost 2 jobs, if you cannot ordinarily get a phone in a country that can be commensurate with the amount of money you earn in a month or in a year, or within that framework, know that you've been badly governed and you've been badly treated and there's something wrong somewhere. If you know that you still experience road accidents even when they shouldn't be taking place, and you just go about living life in misery because you come to experience more pain and you come to blame God more and more for things ordinarily that should be blamed upon your government and upon the society you find yourself, know for free that you're a victim. The victims of our continent, Africa, are many. The victims of our countries are enormous. And sometimes we think we are the ones at the good end, at the pathway upon which things ordinarily go well for us and are working well for us. No. Know this for free. You are a victim as I am a victim. You are as disturbed as I am. And the earlier you come to accept this, the better for you, the better for me. Our leaders ought to do their jobs. But no, they don't. Why do they not? They don't because why should they? Why would they do their jobs when we have failed to ordinarily demand from them things that ordinarily should be done by them and for us? We continue languishing. That consciousness. And when you think about this consciousness, you think I am talking about something alien. But just look at the leaders we've had, the crop of guys that have come down to be our leaders, majority of them, what have they really done? That revolutionary idea that they have done, that you can say, oh, you know, you came to power 4 years, 8 years, you did this, you did this, you did this. Things have ordinarily changed. From our councillors to our chairmen, to our commissioners, to our ministers, to our House of Reps, to our governors, to our senators, to our lawmakers, to the executive, to the legislative, to the legislature, to the legislative, to the to from top to bottom generally. What have we as a people really done as a collective whole that can pass for, a generation actually getting stuff right? What have we done? And yet we are told we are so different from the next person. We are told we are so different from the next person, and the person's problem down there is not our problem, and that our problems are not their problems. And so everybody should just mind their business, and we continue to drift apart and go apart and go apart and fall apart until we fall to the extent whereby we can't even recognize ourselves again. We fall beyond recognition. We fall to the levels upon which we cannot even come to terms with our lives. And so you find people die because of poor leadership structure and poor leadership style and ways of thinking and ways of reasoning. You find people go down these paths and we do nothing and we say nothing. And so we die. But then you also have to ask yourself, for how long have we been really, really holding our leaders accountable? There's this deep-seated idea of negligence that ordinarily go down our current culture and what we currently now hold as our reality, or realities rather, as Nigerians, as Africans. Leaders are elected in, or leaders force themselves on us, in and out. Leaders come in via elections or selections, or those forced and shoved down our throats, and we accept this. We accept them so much so that we almost question nothing. That is, if we even bother even wanting to question. We question nobody, we say nothing to nobody, we just want things to ordinarily work our way. We want them to ordinarily be done the way we want them. And this laissez-faire attitude ordinarily come to endear our leaders to do the bare minimum. What have you really heard and seen from our politicians? What have they really done for the longest period of time? Roads. It doesn't go beyond roads. For 60, 70, 80 years, in a country that ordinarily knows that if it gets road networks across different places, the places ordinarily will come to develop, the places will ordinarily come to function well and come to function better, and the economy will be booming. No, we don't. We keep quiet and we stay there and we tell ourselves, the government does this, the government does that. Who is the government? You and me, your brothers, my sisters, your aunties, my uncles. We are all in this thing. The guy in the US is not the one governing the country. You might talk about puppets here and there, people being placed down there for us to ordinarily come to accept them for the longest period of time. But it goes back to say, we are not even doing what we are supposed to do. When was the last time you ordinarily voted? Have you even voted since you were born as a Nigerian? As an African, do you have a voter's card? In countries that allows for elections to ordinarily go, do you get to participate in? And even in countries that don't even support democracy, what are the things that you ordinarily are looking at as a student, as a youth, as a man, as a woman who've come to find yourself in such an environment? What are the things you've come to really look at and do to see to it that the country, the continent gets better? To see that where you find yourself gets better? Who have you tried to hold accountable? Who have you supported in the past that ordinarily have led the country down where it has gone to? And what are the ways and what are the things you ordinarily think you can do better? You can stand tall, you can stand tall, you can stand strong, you can come to terms with. And the things you think you cannot come to terms with. What are the things we as a people should do going forward? I'll tell you, the things we ought to do are the things we have not been doing. And it's simple. Be responsible citizens. Strive and ask for things that get to favor not just you and your family. Strive to live in a society that have come to tell itself that lies are things that we ordinarily need, but the lies shouldn't come from you. And when you see lies, say you see lies. And let's see how we can go from there. Not just this idea of keeping quiet and keeping mute to things that ordinarily should make us cringe, to things that ordinarily see to it that we die. This sense of leadership, the consciousness is in our leaders are not things that we ordinarily should tie to them and to tie to them alone. They are things we at the moment can do for ourselves, can do for the society, can do to see to it that we grow and we stand strong and we stand tall and we do all the good things we ordinarily should do and do well. But as much as we don't do these things, as much as we don't look at our lives from this perspective, I don't see how we want to all of a sudden just make change and make progress and everybody. No, it's not happening. You know it's not happening. Roads are not just going to come that way. Prayers will not just bring buses and cars and jeeps. Your pastors and your priests telling you that, things are going to get better cannot just get better. They have to be involved. The whole idea of to walk and to pray, the whole idea of not suffocating God with the needs upon which you and I can ordinarily get to fulfill and stuff like that. The things we ordinarily can do, the things we ordinarily cannot do. And we must know the difference. We cannot mix everything together in one particular place and we fix everything together and we tell ourselves, oh my God, my God, my God. No, your God will not come to do anything because there are laws of nature ordinarily that under normal circumstances ordinarily have to be obeyed and followed. And your God is not coming to save you in such situations, not because your God is powerless, just because it is out of his nature to ordinarily do the things that are meant for you to do, that within normal circumstances and with a strong sense of responsibility, you can ordinarily come to do. And so when you don't do the things you ought to do for yourself and things don't get to work out for you by yourself and for yourself, you blame God. But you are blaming the wrong person. God is not your problem. You are your own problem. You are your own issue. You are your own problem. You are the one that ordinarily should be looking at your concerns and your problems for ordinarily what they are. And what are your problems? Your problems are my problems. Hospitals, schools, libraries, roads, pipe bomb water, drainage system, sewage system, good town plannings, good plannings of our lives and implementations of policies that ordinarily get to see to human development and advancement, as opposed to making us beasts of our own existence and of our own life. These are the things we ordinarily need, and these are the things we at the moment don't have. And don't tell me we have these things in Nigeria. Don't tell me you have electricity when you can talk about solar power. When you live in Lagos and you come out of your street and you stay on those long hold-ups for 3, 4, 5 hours, ordinarily, what do you come to tell yourself? How do you come to go for the longest period in that particular situation? How do you come to really look at things? How do you look at such a situation? Do you find pleasure in staying so long in those hold-ups and just doing whatever you want to do down there? Or do you come to really look at how we can ordinarily better things? When the president drives or goes on the fleets of cars and the convoy he ordinarily goes about and coming to get the different exclusive treatment he ordinarily comes to get abroad, and you as a citizen ordinarily cannot function with the clinics we have, and the clinics we don't even have in many places still, and the poor infrastructures that ordinarily have become our lives, ask yourself, which school do you want your child to go to? As opposed to the schools the president's children ordinarily attended or are attending. Ask yourself, this preferential treatment this man is getting, if he happens to be in my situation, will he survive one day? Ask yourself these questions and tell yourself, if I need a voter's card, I should have it. If I need to read the news and read the news for what it is, I should have it. If I should reduce the number of times and the number of hours I spend on social media, on TikTok and on different places, ordinarily trying to just come to while away time, maybe it's high time I start reducing it for the sake of my children and the sake of my own life, because my misery is just going to be multiplied. As much as we have leaders who are not conscious, as much as we have leaders who don't think, as much as we have leaders who don't rationalize and think about their life and how ordinarily things ought to go and how things shouldn't be done, until we are there, we will continue to languish. And don't tell me you don't know of these realities. You know, because you've lost somebody, at least one person, from hospitals that don't function, from road accidents and events that ordinarily shouldn't be, from kidnapping ventures and from the whole maddening surge for money. You've lost something valuable to you due to where you find yourself at the moment. And it is not in isolation to where you are. It is in connection to the society you find yourself. It is in connection with the places you do business. It's in connection with the places you now live and call home. And which is that? Africa. Which is that? Nigeria. And where is that? Africa. Where is that? Cameroon, Ghana, Togo, Tanzania, South Africa. And don't think for the wildest dream of yours that jackpine is the solution. Jackpine is just reacting to the symptom, not the solution to the problem. And so if you must solve the problem, you must go and strike it at its root. You must really look at things from the angle you ordinarily should look at them. And what are the angles you ordinarily are supposed to look at these things? You're supposed to look at them from the angles where the problems come from. Leadership, our own sense of followership, our own sense of public engagement, and our own sense of duty and our own sense of responsibility down this particular terrain. In and about these are the ways we must function. Else, we deceive ourselves that we are making progress. Else we deceive ourselves that, we are fine. You can tell yourself that all for the longest, but what is not is not. And it's just the truth of the matter. You need help, I need help, we all need help. To function well, to function strong, to function tall, to stand well, to stand tall, to do the things we ordinarily need to do. We must come together. We must come together to do what we ordinarily must do. Else we just continue to lie and deceive ourselves that we know we are all fine, we are all good. No, we are not. We aren't fine, we aren't good. We are not the most happiest of people. We are not the most wealthiest of people either. We are just people trying to make sense of our existence. And what that means is that at the moment, we are not having it easy and we are not getting it easy. We're not getting it easy because of the decisions we've taken, because of the decisions we've allowed to be taken on our behalf, and the decisions that have not also been taken. And so these decisions come to make the idea of your God look as if he's powerless. Come to make your God and your sense of religious beliefs come to make as if it's powerless. Our leaders don't experience our hardships. They don't know what it means again to be poor. They don't know what it means again to suffer. They have wealth without enterprise. They have means of survival. Some of them lack the realities that ordinarily meets you, realities that you come to experience in your day-to-day living. And it's not a funny thing. It's not something we should frown. It's not something we should frown at towards God. It's something we should frown at ourselves for allowing to ordinarily happen. It's something we should get angry within us, and it's something we should boil within us and tell ourselves, this particular stuff is wrong. For tell me how you suffer so much. Tell me how you suffer so much as a Nigerian, and when it comes to basic things as voting, you don't go out to exercise your right. Tell me how, when it comes to things like voting, things that you ordinarily should know that you should do, you don't come to do. For the longest period of my life, I still cannot understand why you would not want to vote, why you would not want to ordinarily do what you're ordinarily supposed to do. What's the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? How many persons can they kill when that time comes? You take 5,000, you take 10,000, you take 15,000 naira, and so what? You take these bribes in your different countries and you participate in malpractice in elections and you keep quiet because you feel intimidated most of the time and sometimes and you fear for your life. Like fella will say, I no want die, I no want payment, I no want this, I no want that. But then in the end, we still die and we die and live the most miserable lives. Don't look far. Look at your father's life. Look at your mother's life. Look at your brothers and sisters' life. Look at the schools your sister is going. Look at the school you went to. Look at the school you are currently attending. Look at the marketplaces you go. Look at the roads. Look at the different places. Look at the place you live. Look at the cost of transportation. Look at the cost of education. Look at the cost of governance. Look at the politicians. Look at your ward councillors. Look at the life they lead. Look at the source of their income. Look at the source of their wealth. Look at the places they get things out of. Look at the places you ordinarily should be seeing libraries and you don't see. Look at how everybody has turned into a content creator. Look at how everybody on the internet is farming for fans and farming for followership, as opposed to ordinarily how things should be done. And tell me for the longest period of time that we have not gotten it wrong. Tell me for the 70th time that we are on the right track. Tell me that things currently is going on well with us. Tell me these things and I will tell you that you're a liar. Tell me that we are all fine. Tell me that these things you see don't irritate you. Tell me you are fine with them. Tell me the problems you see around and the anger that ordinarily should be there in your heart but is not there is born out of you being a Christian. And I will tell you you're a fake Christian. I'll tell you you're a fake Muslim. I'll tell you you are a fake traditional worshipper. I'll tell you you're a fake atheist. I'll tell you your existentialism and the whole sense of your whole ties to nihilism and all that is born out of your irresponsibility and your sense of not really coming to look at things. Because I do not see why we ordinarily shouldn't be out of where we are at the moment in the 21st century. But that's a conversation for another day, you know. We can talk today till tomorrow. But we need solutions. We need answers to our problems. And maybe I'm too young to offer you solutions that ordinarily can guide you and solutions that ordinarily can make you really think and really come to accept. Maybe I'm not an elder enough to really come to admonish you and tell you things and tell you how you ordinarily should lead your life. Maybe I am not the right person, or this is not the right time to ordinarily come to tell you that we have to decentralize power, that we have to ordinarily come to look at things from broader perspectives, that our leaders ordinarily should be held accountable, that different arms of government should do different things, and the principle of checks and balance should ordinarily come to be a thing that ordinarily should be embraced by everybody. Maybe I'm not the person to tell you that tribalism should be done away with and a different nepotistic sense of beliefs and the ways we ordinarily come to practice favoritism as opposed to meritocracy and the different ways upon which we ordinarily can advance as a people. Maybe I'm not the person to tell you that in and about these things are the things that hold us down and the things we ordinarily must look at squarely if we ordinarily want to make progress. Maybe I'm not the right person to just talk to you. But know that things like active participation as a citizen is something you must come to do. Know that education is something you cannot run away from. Know that things like governance must be born out of a decentralized standpoint and not from a place of a sovereign Lord who lords it over in and about everybody. Know that your own ignorance and the ignorance of your leaders and our leaders in general are also contributing factors to the situation where we find ourselves at the moment. Know that for the lack of libraries in our schools, for the lack of roads, and the lack of basic healthcare facilities, that ordinarily you should see to it that our people grow and stand tall. Many of these things and things in and about this are conversations and things we have not had. Know also that when people have not been fed well, Scarcity breeds corruption, and corruption breeds anarchy, and anarchy brings about the doom and the downfall of a people, the destruction of a civilization. So going forward, what am I saying? Do your part as a Nigerian. Stand tall, my brother. Talk is not cheap. Don't allow them deceive you. Talk is not cheap. Talk as much as you want to talk, as well as speak your mind and say your truth. But do that also with hope in your heart, and know that Nigeria, this current Nigeria, can succeed if we want it to succeed. I'll stop here for today. You know me, I'm your brother. I am Biringkpa bin Nemeka. I am the mendicant. I'm strolling this world with you, observing things and saying things. See you next time. If you happen to stumble upon this video, please like, share with someone, comment, and let's have these conversations we are having. See you next time.